Hola, hola, hola a todos. Soy Tasha de Tasha Teaches Spanish. Estoy aquí con otro episodio de Hablamos Español. If this is your first time watching the program, hola y bienvenido. It's a pleasure to have you here. The purpose of Hablamos Español is to educate the world as a whole and melanated folks in particular about the fact that we do learn foreign languages. Being multilingual is for us, right? It's one of the many things we can do. And so we want to shine a light on those who are contributing to the diversification of foreign language learning. And today, I have someone who has been doing this for quite some time. You know, it seems with Duolingo and Babbel and is it Plimser? I'm not sure. With these companies coming up, there's a resurgence of interest. Right now, it's kind of just cute and hot. But some people have been doing this long before being multilingual was cool. And I think Bill it's a great representation of that. So, hey, Bill.
Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo le va?
Todo está bien, gracias. Okay, and so for you, the viewer, if you've never seen an episode, we start the episode off by interviewing our guests. We want to know about them, right? So we're going to do that in Español. So this gives you an opportunity, especially if you're a beginner, you know, just going to get those feet wet, gives you an opportunity to test your knowledge. What do you know? What is there something we say that makes sense? Is there something we say that doesn't? You know, gives you a great opportunity to listen for a little taste and test your knowledge. And then at the end, I'm going to ask Bill the same questions and then he'll say them in English, so to clarify. All right, vámonos. So, sabemos ya que tu nombre es Bill. Te llamas Bill, ¿no? Entonces, Bill, ¿de dónde eres?
Yo soy de la ciudad de Nueva York, Harlem, y yo crecí cerca de la comunidad, se llama Spanish Harlem, en la ciudad de Nueva York.
Sí, he escuchado de Spanish Harlem en las películas, no conozco mucho de la historia o el área, pero he escuchado de Spanish Harlem. Entonces, ¿eso significa que originalmente estaban muchos latinos allí o por qué se llama Spanish Harlem?
Muchos latinos, pero durante mi niñez, había muchos puertorriqueños viviendo en Spanish Harlem. Yo tuve muchos vecinos de Puerto Rico. Mis amigos en la escuela son de Puerto Rico también.
Ok, qué interesante, ¿no? Muy bien. Ok, entonces eres de Nueva York, la ciudad de Nueva York.
Sí,
¿Y tu trabajo o trabajos? ¿Qué haces ahora para ganar dinero?
Ok, ahora yo soy jubilado.
¡Felicidades!
Sí, yo trabajé como consejero de empleos. Yo ayudé a mucha gente a buscar empleos.
Ok, qué bueno. Pero ahora tienes una vida libre. No tienes que trabajar, estás libre.
Ok, yo quiero añadir esto.
Okay.
Yo hablo mucho mejor español con la gente que habla solamente español y nada de inglés, ¿entiendes?
Sí.
Sí. Los bilingües, como tú, yo me pongo muy nervioso y se me olvidan las palabras.
Ya no, Bill, estás hablando tan bueno, es suficiente, estás bien, no es necesario explicar, no, hablas muy bien, ¿ok? Y solo tengo 2 o 3 preguntas más, nada más.
Mira, cuando yo viajo a América Latina, yo fui a 9 países de América Latina.
Sí.
En cada país en América Latina, mi español es mucho más con fluidez. Cuando vuelvo a los Estados Unidos, mi español es intermediario.
No, pues entiendo más o menos, para mí no es exactamente como así, pero más o menos depende del ambiente. Cuando estamos alrededor latinos nativos, es como algo en el cerebro cambia, como un switch.
Sí.
Entonces, es como el cerebro trabaja más duro. No sé,
Sí.
pero pues, entiendo bien. Pero tú hablas muy bien. Yo entiendo, creo que el público entiende bien. Estás bien. Estás bien, Bill. ¿Ok?
¿Cómo se dice los mexicanos? Órale.
Órale. Ok, dos preguntas más, Bill, o dos o tres, perdón. Tus pasatiempos, ¿qué haces en tu tiempo libre?
Bailando de la música de la salsa,
Uh,
escuchando la música de la salsa y bachata y la música cubana.
ok. Entonces, ¿tú bailas en un club o en la casa?
En el club y la casa.
Okay. Muy bien. Otra pregunta, díganos un poco de tu familia, si quieres.
Yo soy soltero.
Ok. Entonces, otra vez,
Soltero.
esto significa que otra vez estás libre, eres un hombre
Yes,
libre.
yes. Yo estoy soltero y buscando.
Uh, Pues buena suerte, buena suerte. Mira, mi mamá necesita un novio. ¿Cuántos años tú tienes?
Yo,
Sí.
70.
Ok. Mi madre tiene 73. ¿Está bien? ¿O no? ¿Está bien? Sí, no.
Oh, wow.
Ella necesita novio.
Necesito novia, novio, ¿eh?
Sí, mi mamá. Pero ella está en Arkansas.
Mm.
Entonces, la distancia es muy larga, ¿no? Nueva York de Arkansas. Ok. La última pregunta, Bill.
Sí.
Tú, pues, más o menos son dos. ¿Tu canción favorita o una canción favorita? Yo sé que es difícil escoger. Una canción favorita en español y un cantante favorito.
Ok, mi canción favorita es por Ray Barreto. Ray Barreto, de Puerto Rico y Brooklyn, New York. Es Pastorita tiene guararé. Pastorita tiene guararé conmigo. Yo no sé por qué será. Pastorita tiene guararé. Yo nunca te he hecho nada. Ella es mi amiga del alma, la llevo en el corazón. Pastorita tiene guararé. Pum, 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 pum. Pastorita tiene guararé. Es mi
¡Cántelo,
canción favorita.
Bill! Muy bien. Pero otra vez, el nombre del hombre es Ray Barreto
Sí.
y el título de la canción,
Título, Guararé.
Guara. Aquí está.
Guararé.
Ajá.
Guararé. En
Sí.
Cuba, Guararé quiere decir, tiene muy atractivo para mí. Pastorita es una mujer de Cuba y ella tiene guararé, quiere decir, ella es muy atractivo
Sí.
conmigo.
Ok. Muy bien, pues gracias por esta canción y nunca he escuchado de Ray ni su canción, Guararé. Gracias.
Guararé, sí.
Guararé, ok, voy a escucharla después de la entrevista. Ok, es el fin de la parte o del
Español.
parte de español. All right, so we made it
Okay.
through. Yay. And you, the viewer, hopefully there were several things you did catch. If there was something you didn't, it's always a good idea to pause and go back, rewind. Don't let Google Translate cripple you. You know, try. All right. So if there is something you didn't understand though at the end, Bill and we'll go over the same questions in English so you can get clarification. So Bill, let's go ahead and dive in. Question number one. I think you come with a lot of knowledge just since you have so many years of experience with this, but let's just start simple. Why did you decide? Let me say this. I think you know several languages, but why Spanish? Let's just go with that one. Why Spanish? Going back to the however many years ago, why did you decide to learn Spanish?
Spanish is my second language or foreign language that I've learned.
Yes, sir.
And the reason was because the community where I lived was right on the borderline between Harlem and East Harlem. East Harlem has a large, at the time I was growing up, had a large Puerto Rican population. Now it's more diverse in terms of Latinos. But their presence inspired me to learn a second language. I went to the local library and checked out a book called Fun with Spanish. I was only 10 years old. I memorized everything in the book from cover to cover. And then when I was practicing what I knew, with anyone who looked Puerto Rican, at that time, as there were a lot of Black Puerto Ricans as well.
Mm-hmm.
It was a stereotypical olive complexion, brown colored Puerto Rican people. So I would practice on them. And I made them, like I had a classmate named Carlos. I used to hang out at his house every day after school just to be around Spanish-speaking people and practice my Spanish. And they helped me a lot.
That is so good, Bill. So it sounds like it just was a pure innate interest. I mean, it was environmental because you said it was around it, so that's what sparked it. But you took the steps to go to the library, to memorize, and then even to say, I'm going to find my own immersion experience through my friend Carlos. That is really good. Do you know why? Do you know why maybe you weren't scared? A lot of people have fear comes up with a child, or maybe there's less fear if you're a child. Maybe that's why, but definitely as an adult. Do you know why you weren't nervous or scared or reluctant? Why it felt natural to do?
No, I thought they would be flattered and what's the word I want to use? Obliged to speak Spanish back to me. Some weren't. Some didn't like being stereotyped as being Spanish only.
Oh, that's good, Bill. That's a good point. Because a lot of people think after they learn, I'm going to go out and speak to everybody. But not everybody is accepting. That's a good point, Bill. Do you remember a story from that? Like your first time you realized that, maybe?
Yes. It was right across the street from where I lived was the Lincoln Housing Project. And I used to hang out there because that's where most of the kids were.
Yes, sir.
And I saw this guy, he struck me as being Puerto Rican. And I approached him and I said to him, "Habla Español?" He looked at me like he wanted to fight and said, "What?" I said, "Habla Español?" He says, "What you want to know for?" I mean, he was just as ghetto. He was just as ghetto as the Black folks. I mean, there was a lot of mess between Puerto Rican and African American, and a lot of the Puerto Ricans adopted African American customs, attitudes, positive, both positive and negative. And he was one of them.
Yes,
so,
sir.
From that point, and then when I realized a lot of the Puerto Ricans that I grew up with spoke good English, I finally kind of gave up. Nowadays with a lot of Latin Americans coming in, just pouring in, legal and illegal, that's Spanish only, that inspired me to relearn Spanish again and want to develop my Spanish. I was an adult by then, at that time.
So let's stop right there. That's a good point, Bill. And I'm going to clarify in case anybody missed it. He said once he started to realize how many Latinos knew English, he just said, never mind, and put Spanish down for a while, which I didn't know that, Bill. How long was that gap of time where you left it alone?
We're talking about maybe 20, 25, 30 years, 25 years maybe.
Wow.
But I was 10 at the time. I was 11. I was 12 when I gave up. So it was 12, 22, 32. We're talking about 20 years.
Yeah. But it makes sense, but you make sense, and I deal with that with some children now. They say, but not necessarily because Latinos speak English, but they'll say, I have Google Translate, so why do I need to learn? So they want to give up because they don't think it's necessary in a different sense. So I get that, but I don't hear that too much.
Here's the thing. The best way to practice a new language, if you really want to, is to take a vacation. My first vacation in a Latin American country was in Havana, Cuba. I stopped in Cancun overnight to catch my flight, and that was the time to get immersed with the Spanish speakers. But by the time I got to Cuba, my Spanish had got really warmed up, and I was pleasantly surprised how much more fluent I became while I was in Cuba to speak in Spanish.
It's just something about, like we were saying during your introduction, it's something about being in that environment, el ambiente. It's like your brain just says, let me take it up a notch. Okay, so when you return to learning, so 20, 30 years later, what was that process like? You learned through Rosetta Stone, going, because you start off at 10 at the library, and your friend Carlos. As an adult, how did you learn? What happened then?
I bought a book called Practical Spanish Grammar, which taught me vocabulary and grammar in English and Spanish. And then I made flashcards. I mean, that's just my favorite mode. It's been a lifesaver for me in my professional life and in my personal life. But I just studied flashcards, and and every time I had spare time, like maybe waiting online for something, I would pull out my flashcards. And that kept me patient. But the combination of books, and then I graduated to reading Spanish newspapers. And someone told me something because when I was living in Oakland, California at the time, and there's a community in Oakland that's like Spanish Harlem, but they're mostly Mexicans. So I would go into that community, go shopping, go to restaurants, go and order in Spanish.
That's good. So really, you started off self-taught. That's what I'm hearing. Both times. When you were 10, you were self-taught but through the library, and then when you brought it back, it was through books and flashcards.
And that's another thing. And that's another thing. The Spanish that they teach in junior and high school was not like the Spanish I learned in the community. It was more Castilian from Spain, and that was a turn off as well. My interest was not as great as it was. And my teachers, that's it. My Spanish was not as great. I wanted to learn that Spanish, Harlem Spanish.
Something más auténtico, more authentic.
Yeah.
De la calle. Okay.
De la calle.
No, I get it. That's really good, Bill.
Spanish.
What made you, at age, whatever, 20, 30, 40, even want to get back into it? Did something happen that you said, I need to get back into Spanish?
It was an influx of Latin American immigrants who couldn't speak English. So based on my past experience in Spanish Harlem, I decided, well, if I'm going to practice my Spanish, I'm going to practice those who are not bilingual, who don't speak much English.
You don't have a choice. If they bilingual, they may switch to English, but if they only speak Spanish, you have no option but to get it.
They always switch to English. So I don't mess with them anymore. What I wanted to add, I've gotten to the point where I've been interviewed in Spanish 2 or 3 times for jobs that I applied for, because a lot of their clients were Latino.
Mm-hmm.
The first time that happened, normally I don't get nervous in interviews because I'm an interview expert. I know how to prepare for an interview the way Muhammad Ali prepares for a fight.
Yes, sir.
And win. And but when she decided to switch the interview to Spanish, I had gotten really nervous, but I passed anyway.
That's good.
And got hired.
That's good. That's good. And what job was that? That was doing what?
Employment counseling, helping people with job search. I was working for a nonprofit employment agency, just helping members of the community, prepare for jobs, get jobs, and market themselves in the job market successfully.
Okay.
After that, when they tried to interview me in Spanish, I would tell them the same thing I told you. I speak much Spanish, and I tell them in Spanish. I speak much Spanish with people who don't speak a word of English. Bilingual people like you make me nervous.
But I guess you got those other 2 jobs as well, right?
Oh yeah. Well, with the exception of one, and it had nothing to do with my Spanish. It was just part of it. It was just it was the selection process. It was
Yes,
just
sir.
it was like my second interview when it happened, so that was a good sign.
So let me ask you this. So the first job that dealt with the Spanish-speaking community was employment counseling. What were the other two?
Same. That was my career.
Okay.
Workforce development is the appropriate name for it now. Workforce development specialist. Yeah.
Okay, well, that is really cool. And so that really goes into a question I had coming up, which is what are the ways in which learning Spanish or knowing Spanish improved your life professionally, personally, etc. So you've already mentioned the professional aspect. It helped you secure some jobs. Are there any other ways in which you mentioned travel? I know you mentioned that as well. So any other ways in which knowing Spanish benefited you?
Wow. Yes, it did. New York, Puerto Rican and African Americans generally get along. I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule, but generally we got along. But with other Latinos, just the immigrants, that's where I saw a rip. But I found that they accepted me when they found out that I could speak Spanish. Because I would go into Spanish-speaking communities and they see the color of my skin. I'm an American, and I can feel that fear or that grip. But when they hear me speak Spanish, they begin to become more relaxed. I've experienced this in California, especially. But there was another instance where I got on in Oakland, California. I got on a street bus. There were Spanish-speaking people talking, and I happened to have to be sitting down. And I told them in Spanish, you can sit here and talk to your friends. They fell out laughing. It was the first time in their life they heard a Black man speak Spanish.
Wow.
I was like, to them, I was a freak show. I went off. I told them in Spanish, a brief history lesson of Latin America in Spanish. So I don't know where they're from, but every country has a Spanish-speaking population. Maybe with the exception of El Salvador. But even Mexico have areas where there are people of African ancestry who speak only Spanish and no English.
That's right. Los Afro-Mexicanos.
Yeah, Afro-Mexicanos. And this is one of the things that inspired me to blog, because African Americans and Latinos need to be educated to the fact that there are Black people who speak more than English and Ebonics.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. So since you mentioned that, go ahead now and mention to our audience what the name of your blog is and how they can access it.
Oh, just Google African American Latino World, and you'll see posts.
African American Latino World. Okay, good. How long have you been doing that blog?
12 years.
Woo!
And right now, I just started. I'm transferring my blog to a new platform called African American Latino World, and I can't give you much information on it now because this time I want to monetize it. For the last 12 years, I was doing it strictly out of passion to educate folks.
Yes, sir.
Now I want to attract advertisers.
That's right. It's money in it, Bill. There's money in it. That's right.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing now. Trying to attract advertisers and things, so I can make money doing it to supplement my retirement income. Yeah.
Okay, I think it'll be a big success because, like I said, there's an increase in interest, and I definitely see it with African Americans in learning. So I think it'll be great. That's good.
Yeah.
Let me go to my list of questions and see what else we want to chat about. So you're self-taught. We already went over that. To keep your language and skills sharp, I know you immerse yourself off, especially in the beginning, and now I imagine too, immersing yourself, going out into the community, focusing on native speakers that don't know English. When you first started, Bill, and we can go back to 10-year-old Bill or 30-year-old Bill, however old you were when you came back.
Yeah.
But in the early learning stages, what were some of the things that were most difficult for you to grasp?
hearing, understanding what I hear. I can talk a good game in Spanish, but when they started talking back, challenging. So to overcome that challenge, I used to watch a lot of Spanish TV, listen to Spanish radio, and then, you know, you remember the days of the Walkman? Were you around when they had the Walkman?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. I would give myself points every time I would understand a phrase or a clause in the songs that I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm.
I will listen to the words of the song because, listen to the words of the song. Usually when I listen to salsa music, I'm listening to the melody and the style, and it gets me on the dance floor.
Yeah.
But I took the time to actually try to listen to what they're saying, and that helped improve my listening skills in Spanish. All of those things help me, and especially when when I'm in Latin American airspace, headed to a Latin American country, seems like by default, my ability to understand what I'm hearing rises.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So for you, it was mostly the listening comprehension, but you overcame it by just kind of drilling yourself or making sure it was always in your ear. And what I call training your ear.
Right. Exactly.
Good. All right. Let's see. What else? Is there anything that's still kind of difficult for you now about learning the language? Or using it? I'm sure by now you know you're a pro, but just out of curiosity, anything you kind of still struggle with sometimes? Well, you already mentioned if it's a bilingual speaker, you get nervous. Anything else?
I can't think of anything else.
Okay.
I can't think of anything else. The only thing I can think of right now is, like I say, when people like you who are bilingual try to talk to me in Spanish. I find that very challenging.
Yes, sir. All right, next up. Oh, this is a good one, Bill. People, and I don't know if you've heard this, but I definitely have, and a lot of millennial learners have, but we often hear people think anytime we're saying we know Spanish, we're learning Spanish, oh, you on your way to some big money. You know, people assume you're just going to get $100,000 a year just off knowing another language. And so have you often encountered that assumption that, oh, you're going to be big time because you know another language, or not so much?
No, that's never happened. The only good luck I had with my Spanish was, like I said, I've been hired by companies because of my Spanish.
Okay. Let me see next. And let me ask you this. I had one person say they didn't experience that because where they were from, I think they were from Florida. It was common to find a multilingual person. So like in areas like Arkansas, you know, it's like we're a unicorn. You know, we are sought out because there's not a lot of folks here. But in areas with large populations like Florida or New York, I think people who speak both languages or several languages kind of come a dime a dozen. So maybe is that it? They're not always Black, but it is common that you get people that speak multiple languages. So do you think maybe that's a factor because it's easy to find somebody that speaks English and Spanish?
Yeah, most of my success in job search, I spent like 40 years living in Oakland, California.
Yes, sir.
It was they found me to be a rarity, an African American who speaks Spanish.
Okay.
Let me tell you a little story here, because one of the jobs I've had, there were Latinos, African Americans, whites in a meeting, and the subject came up about my speaking Spanish to clients. One of the members did not believe me.
I always hate that. I always hate that, Bill, but I'm excited about what you about to say. I'm sure you set it off. Go ahead.
She demanded in front of everybody that I sing my favorite song in Spanish.
Now that's rude. It's a difference between doubting me and having the audacity to think you can run the show and check me on it in front of people. See, that's another level. But I'm gonna be quiet. Go ahead, Bill.
I sang the favorite song that I sang to you, verses and chorus. I was complete.
Yeah.
And she was like, not only that, when I got to the chorus, all the Latino people in the room gave me a night. I could feel the applause. It was like, wow. And she was blown away herself.
She owe you an apology. Where's her apology? That's what I want to know.
Later on, I jammed her about it, and I said, what was it about me that made you doubt? She says, I don't know. In other words, she didn't want to say
you know.
Yeah, she didn't want to say because I was black.
Tú sabes, yeah.
Yeah, and then and then later on, I kind of told her I was really disturbed by what you just did, and she says, "Oh, I was only joking." Yes, I'm not.
No es cómico. No es una broma para mí. Am I laughing?
Yeah.
Joking. Eso no es una broma. But anyway. Yeah, and that's one thing, Bill. And you know what? And you said she was Latina.
She a white Latina.
Okay, and see, that's the thing too. I've had a couple guests on here. It's definitely come up how we're doubted, and it often has come up how we're doubted by just white Europeans. They don't even know Spanish themselves, but you know they want to assume we can't either. But I guess it's insulting either way, especially on that level.
Let's turn the table. Let's turn the tables.
What?
I was at work one day, and an El Salvadorian guy was asking me a question in Spanish. He was more comfortable with Spanish. Mm-hmm. My African-American co-worker looked at me and says, "You wish you was Mexican, don't you?"
Oh, Bill, no. That should be,
I got it from both.
They should be proud of you.
I got it from both sides.
Yeah, that's honest. That's real. That's real, Bill. Thank you.
See, that's another thing that inspired me to write my blog, to establish a blog. Because you have a lot of African Americans. New York is different. Miami is different. But in a place like Oakland, where the African American population are almost the black population is not as diverse mentally as they are, let's say, here in New York.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
And so a lot of them consider me strange anyway.
My Lord. That is okay. Let's go back to the boys. You said you were on a bus, I think, in Oakland when the boys laughed at you. But now those boys weren't Afro-Latino. They were just Latino.
They were Mexican American students that know nothing about their history.
Got you. Okay. But Bill, that is a really good point. You know what? There's a man on YouTube. I don't know if you follow him. His name's Ricky, and the name of the YouTube channel is Bilingue Blogs. You familiar with him?
It's a black guy?
Yes, sir. And you want to write it down?
Write that down.
Yeah, Ricky's real popular. I've been wanting him on the show, but I guess he's a little too busy. But anyway, Bilingue Blogs. Bilingue Blogs. His name's Ricky, and he has talked about that, like in his family comments. His family would say, "Boy, you're not Mexican. You just always listening to that Spanish music." And
oh, I gotta see his blog. We're a lot alike, and that's another thing too. One day at work, I had a part-time job as a security guard. And during my break, I was listening to my salsa music. The supervisor happened to be making her rounds, and she asked the other workers, this guy got me. She asked the other worker, does he know he's black?
It just reminds me.
And here's the thing.
Go ahead, Bill.
What she needed to know is that if it weren't for African slaves being brought to Cuba and the slave plantations of Cuba, Puerto Rico, and these other Latin American countries, a lot of these popular Latin music that's so popular today would not exist as we know it.
That's right, because it has our influence, our culture, our music. That's us in there. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. It's very sad, but that's why, like you said, you did the blog, you started for education. And it's always crazy to me because let me say, so far, I have not been met with that hatred, not hatred, but like a hater. I haven't encountered that in my people. Every black person that I know, they're like, oh, that's good, girl, high five, right? But when I hear stories like what you tell me and from what you just said and other people, it blows my mind that the instinct of that person was not to be proud, was to be a hater. He knows he's black. Duh! Obviously, you black. Or the other woman, you want to be Mexican. No, I want to have skills that are going to get me higher in life. It reminds me of what they talk about with that crabs in a barrel syndrome, Bill.
Exactly.
Ridiculous.
W.E.B. Du Bois wrote that about the black, African Americans are like crabs in a barrel, know. But a lot of I only experienced this in Oakland. A lot of Oakland black folks I'm sure this is in other places as well.
Yes,
I don't know, they trip off, I don't know, it's you try to learn another language. And in fact, I was laughed at by Black folks who speaking Spanish.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Now, remind me, excuse me, in your story of your life and everything, why were you in Oakland at all?
Oh, after college, I joined the Navy. And the ship that I was on was stationed just right outside of Oakland. And at that time, I enjoyed the change. I enjoyed the beauty. And I decided I wanted to live here once I get honorably discharged, which I did. But after a while, I experienced a culture shock, just coming from New York. And their communication style and other things, I didn't blend well.
So how long were you there total? How many years?
Well, about 40 years. And what kept me there so long was the churches that I belonged to and the jobs that I've had. I was basically settled. And there were a small enclave of people who were from New York and other places that a click was much better.
Yeah.
And the salsa music scene made me feel right back at home.
Sorry, my crying son is coming in the room. Sorry, but he's about to leave.
Okay.
He's about to leave.
Okay.
All right, so all right, so now you mentioned the military, the Navy. Did your Spanish skills come up at all there? Were they used at all there, or was that during the time where you weren't using it as much anyway?
Briefly, when a group of us went into Tijuana, there were two Afro Puerto Ricans hanging. I was hanging out with two Black Puerto Ricans, and we went into Tijuana, and they spoke better Spanish, but I kind of caught on and added my little 2 cents in Spanish too.
That's good. That's good. Okay.
But that was a brief experience.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, this is going really well. Let me see what's next. You've given so many good gems. I really appreciate you. This is so nice.
Okay, good. I'm glad you.
Let's talk about this. So this is not even a question on the list, but since we've kind of discussed, getting questioned and getting hatred from Blacks, not literally hatred, but haters. And
haters, yeah.
Have you noticed, since you've been doing this a long time, Bill, have you noticed a difference now? Do you not get those encounters as much now because globally our mindset's shifting and things?
Well, here
you notice a difference.
Here in New York, there are a lot of Blacks from Dominican Republic, Panama, Puerto Rico. Who else? I mean, Black folks here in New York are used to Black folks speaking another language. There are a lot of Haitian Creoles here. Blacks from the Francophone African countries that speak French. So it's Black folks here are used to it.
So you're saying where you are, there's no difference because it's always been accepted well.
Yeah, well, it's no big deal. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. But through the generations, have you noticed a change at all? Have you met more people like yourself, or still not as many? Just generationally, is there something that you see now that you didn't see back when you started learning?
Well, only on Facebook, I meet people like you. I belong to we met on the Black Melanated Multilinguals.
Yes, sir.
But until then, no.
No. Okay. All right then. Let's see what's next. We already kind of talked about this, but overall, okay, beyond the woman in the meeting that tried to check you, how do most Latinos respond when you start speaking Spanish, especially since you mostly want to speak with natives? So what's the common response you get when a Latino realizes?
Oh, it's if they're limited English, they respond positively. They're glad an American in their language. It made them feel at home.
Yes, sir.
And I found most of my love from those.
Yeah.
Here in New York, I got a lot of love from the Puerto Rican community, but in terms of interacting with other Spanish-speaking immigrants, the less English they know, the more I'm accepted.
Well, no, that makes sense because, like you said earlier, a lot of the ones I guess, who knew both, they don't want to be stereotyped. They get insulted. That's their first thought. Are you stereotyping me? I guess.
Well, let me share something. When I was in it happened in Cuba, when I was in Cuba, for example. I was riding a bicycle I was on a bicycle tour with other Americans. This Afro-Cuban rode up beside me and started speaking to me in English. And I said, okay, he thinks I'm one of them lingos who can't speak Spanish. I'm going to teach his ass a lesson. Everything he said to me in Spanish, I responded in English. I mean, everything he said to me in English, I responded in Spanish. And after a few exchanges like that, he finally said, man, stop speaking to me in Spanish. I'm trying to practice my English. Now, wait. What came up for me when he said that, it reminded me of the times that I tried to practice my Spanish on U.S. Latinos. And they were thinking the same thing I'm thinking. He thinks I'm one of these chicos that can't speak English. They want to teach my ass a lesson.
Yeah, that's good.
And so
that's a good moment, like where you kind of saw the tables would turn. It was like you were seeing yourself in that man. My
compassion kicked in, and I let him practice. In Peru, the same thing happened. He realized I was a gringo from the U.S., so he started speaking to me in English, and I did the same thing to him, but he was more polite. He says, "Is it okay if I practice my English with you?" Oh. And I said, "Okay, yeah, that's fine, yeah."
Yes, but no, that's a really good point, Bill, because I guess even for us being non-natives, we want to prove ourselves too. You know, there are times where just like for the bilingual Latino, some of them their first response is on the defense. It's the same for us sometimes. We want to make sure no one's stereotyping us or boxing us in. So that's good. That's a good story.
I want to add this, and for anyone who's listening, watching your YouTube video, who wants to learn Spanish, first get the basics, just the basics, and plan a vacation to a Spanish-speaking country of your choice. For example, I chose the countries where there are a lot of Black folks, and I like their music. I like Afro-Peruvian music. That's why I went to Peru. So choose a country, and every Spanish-speaking country has an immersion school. And are you aware of this yourself?
Yes, sir. That's how I got started in Costa Rica. They have a company called CPI, and we were there for like a month, but every day we would go to class.
Yeah, and there's no English. I went to a school like that in Havana, Cuba, and in Peru. We had the teachers, tutors, and then you stay with this family that speaks no English.
Yeah, that's it. That's what we did in Costa Rica for a month.
That's the best way to practice.
Yeah.
Just
and the good thing about that, those schools, Bill, you know, a lot of times in the U.S. and I think it's changing. I know I plan to change that for my state, but we limit language learning to you got to learn it in school or college, or you know, after that, good luck, try to find a program, right? It's not kind of an open thing for everybody. We kind of box in moments in which you can learn. But the thing about those schools you're talking about, that's for anybody, any age. You don't have to have a requirement as long as you have the money and you want to, you know, immerse yourself. So I do like those. The fact that it's not.
I had a supervisor who minored in Spanish in college.
Yeah.
She overheard me speaking Spanish to clients and pulled me aside and asked me to help her with her Spanish.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, the Spanish you learn in school, they don't really teach you how to speak it.
Yeah.
You have to immerse yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, if she had gone to any Spanish-speaking country, I think her Spanish would have developed because she had she had a firm foundation. She just needs to get out there and speak it with people who don't speak English.
Correct. And let me say this too, Bill. I even tell my clients, you know, I do teach private lessons through my business. I think in any case, it's about getting out there. Whether you learn in school, Duolingo, Babbel, Rosetta Stone, nothing can prepare you. A book, this not enough. Eso no es suficiente. No matter how you learn, because I mean, oftentimes we do kind of ridicule our school systems. That's not enough. Nothing is enough until you go out there, you get embarrassed, you get something wrong, you learn why it's wrong. It's all out there. You get comfortable here, but you need to go on out there and practice.
But let me give you an example of what happened to me.
What?
I was in my 30s at the time when I was trying to rejuvenate my Spanish then.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a taco truck in the neighborhood. And so I went out there and tus tacos de pollo con todo, por favor. Yeah, I was rolling, Jack. And there were Latinos standing around just watching me. And they seemed impressed. And then the clerk says, para aquí o para llevar?
Uh-oh.
I'm like, huh?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Para aquí o para llevar? I said, ¿qué? What? I'm trying to play it. And then finally he says, with a smirk on his face, to here to go.
He was trying to help you. He was trying to give you the chance. Let me say it again for him.
He was impressed.
Yeah.
And he was impressed. And then he finally made my taco. He says, there you go, my friend. Good Spanish, man.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
But see, the people around me, there was a Latino guy around me. He spoke good English. He says, that was funny, man. But see, I embarrassed, but that's how you learn.
That's it. SOS. That's it. You have to get embarrassed. And so I have a lot of people that say, oh, I'm dumb. Yes, you are going to sound dumb. And sound dumb and move on. Learn from the experience why you were wrong. It's you got to get over that. But that is a good story, Bill. I'm gonna tell one if that's okay, and I'm gonna wrap up because I could talk to you forever.
Okay.
Because you just have so many stories, so much knowledge, and I appreciate it again. I'm gonna hit you with two stories. So, because at least in your case, the man who made your taco, at least he still told you good job, right? So my first job in the U.S., I was a bilingual receptionist for a children's hospital for 2 years. And that's where a lot of knowledge came from, right? I got in the field, right? Even though I didn't, I was good, but you really realize how good or bad you are when you get a job in it. So this man had come in and he just had like a bad attitude, period. And I'm trying to, check him in or his child in, and it just didn't go well. So my feelings were hurt, obviously, because he was real rude to me. So anyway, I get through.
The Spanish immigrant?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I finished him up or maybe a coworker did. Either way, he got in the back. He left. He and the child got to their appointment. All right. So he comes out, and he didn't have to do this. He could have kept this to himself. He comes back out to leave. The appointment is over. And he says, yeah, they tell me in the back, you're learning, you're trying to speak Spanish. You need to learn better Spanish. You need to learn better Spanish. And then he left. So my feelings were hurt, like, oh, I suck, oh no. But I learned later he just had a bad spirit, period. That's one thing too. I got this from school, especially when you look in the books and you do the activities. You can, when you're learning Spanish through school, you can start to believe, oh, all Latino people are nice and everybody's gonna treat me nicely and everybody's gonna be my friend and la 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 la. No, just like it's just like English speakers have good people and bad people, so do the Spanish speakers. Don't get it twisted. Don't let the nice little dialogue from the Vista book, VISTA, think everybody's your friend. No. So that was a lesson. Number 2, this is about me applying it in the real world and getting it wrong. Because for you, we were saying real simple, para aquí, para llevar, here to go. And sometimes that really makes you beat yourself up when you're like, dang, that was so simple. Why didn't I get it? So I was in a pageant. This is in college, and I wasn't as good then, but I still would say I speak Spanish. I'm majoring in it. I told that as something, an interesting point during my interview. One of the judges was a Latina. Bill, she asked me a simple question. ¿Qué te gusta comer? ¿Qué te gusta comer? Simple. I'm like, I don't, like you said, ¿qué? What? No entiendo. I'm not getting it. And then she asked, like, what do you like to eat? Then I answered in Spanish, right? Some options. But for that judge, I lost that. It's different reasons you can lose pageants, but because in that moment I didn't prove myself to that lady, I lost the pageant because at the end of it all, at the end of the pageant, you know, you get your results back. And it was one judge, obviously it's her, that marked me bad for everything. Bad. Because I think she was insulted that I had the audacity to say I spoke her native tongue and couldn't prove it. And I get it.
Let me ask you this. Where is she from? Do you know? Do you have any idea where she's from?
No.
No, the reason why I asked is because they can, like a Cuban, for instance, and Puerto Ricans, they're known. Like I have a Puerto Rican neighbor. He didn't ask me, ¿tú tienes mujer? He asked me, ¿tú tienes mujer? It's that Puerto Rican accent.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, in Venezuela, they walk the hook too with their accents. I mean, when I went through immigration, I had to tell them, I said, look, you need to slow down because Spanish is not my first language. Yeah. So that's been what happened.
Maybe it was the dialect. Maybe it was her dialect.
The accent. It was probably the accent that threw you off.
Maybe so. But I felt real dumb, and that cost me that pageant, I'm sure. I'm not saying I would have won, but I wouldn't have such low scores because it was just bad, poor scores all the way down. But I get it. Yeah. I get it. And it is so, but ultimately, you have to go through those things. You have to go through those moments to get good. That's what comes with it. So we're gonna wrap up. You already mentioned your advice to anybody that wants to learn, right? In addition to that point that you made, though, is there any other generic tips you think?
For someone who wants to learn, if you only know 2 words, try to use it as much as possible and then grow from there. I'm learning Russian as a second language. That's what I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, my Russians have improved over the years, but when I meet a Russian person, I kind of share what I know in Russian and then go from there.
That's good. Yeah. So no matter how much you know, own it, be proud of it, and use it. That's good.
How much little you had to use it.
Is there anything else you want to add in general? You told us about your blog. Let me make sure I got it right. African American Latino World. Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to add to the viewers?
Yeah. I think I shared everything. I can't think of anything right now. You know, just try to immerse yourself as much as possible. You know, with your target language, with people who speak the language that you want to learn. Make friends from people in that community.
Okay, that's good.
That's important as well.
Like you did as a child with Carlos.
Yeah, with Carlos. Yeah.
All right, well, let's go on and wrap up, Bill. I'm going to ask you the same questions I did earlier in your intro in English. So for the viewers, in case somebody didn't get something, this will clear it up. So we know that your name is Bill. Bill, where are you from?
Okay, I'm born in St. Louis, raised in Harlem, New York, and I now live in Brooklyn, New York.
Sounds good. Your job or jobs, what do you do to earn money?
I retired as a workforce development professional where I help people from job search, prepare for interviews, write resumes, and I've even done some job placement with agencies.
Okay, good. Your pastimes, what do you do in your free time?
Dance salsa, listen to music. Actually, I have a diverse list of genres that I enjoy depending on my mood. It can be jazz, old school R&B, Latin American music from different countries, not just salsa. Writing my blog is an excellent pastime of mine, and then going to ethnic restaurants, Ethiopian food, Latin American food. What else? What other exotic type of restaurant I've gone to? Moroccan. That's just. Nigerian food, Ghanaian food. Yeah, I don't know about in Arkansas, but in places like Oakland and New York, you have all these ethnic restaurants.
They're mostly in Little Rock. So we don't have like a smorgasbord. But if you're gonna experience something else, it's gonna be in Little Rock mostly. Most other places have, typical American or Southern food. And then, but a lot of little towns do have a Mexican restaurant, but it's not authentic Mexican. So, it's not pozole you know, things like
okay, yeah.
It's not authentic, but a lot of small towns here
Yeah.
do have a Mexican restaurant.
And again, I enjoy travel. You know, I went to Nova Scotia to visit the I went to Halifax, Nova Scotia to visit descendants of the Underground Railroad. You know, things like that.
Wow.
Yeah, that was yeah. And they're just like that. The only thing about them, they don't speak Ebonics. They just use but other than that, they speak like educated African Americans. You know, the English is so proper. Yeah. And when I said that to one thing about Canadians, I have to share, they seem so American. If you go to, I've been to 4 Canadian provinces. They just seem so American. But one thing all Canadians agree on, they are not Americans. They don't want to be confused with us Americans. Even my black friend and guide, my black Nova Scotian, she says, no, you just hold it right there. She's from Nova Scotia. She says, we are Scotians, African Nova Scotians. Don't get that twisted.
All right. So tell us a bit about your family.
Oh, wow. My family is scattered. Missouri, Illinois,
but hold on.
York.
What did you say in Spanish though earlier? This to clarify.
I'm single and looking.
Single and looking. That's right. And I said my mom needs a boyfriend. So, but go ahead. You said what you're gonna say now. Your family is scattered. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're scattered. I have some family here. A lot of them passed. I have cousins here. But yeah, my brother's in California right now, Sacramento, California. So it's scattering. But you know what I want? Yeah, that's about it. I have a goddaughter in Peru, Daniela. She's the daughter I never had.
Oh, that's nice.
And I met her when she was 3. Fell in love with her, paternally speaking. And now she's 18, so I'm helping her get through a job training program, play for a job training program for what's I'm trying to think. Oh God, I'm having a senior moment, but she's training for some physical therapy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
And the last,
so I'm helping her get through.
The last question, which is like 2 questions: your favorite
Yeah.
Spanish song, and then Latino singer.
Oh, well, my favorite Spanish group, a Latino group, is called Grupo Nietzsche.
Yes, de Colombia, no?
De Colombia.
Yeah.
And the leader's a brother who's proud of being black. He doesn't go by the name. He doesn't like being called Moreno, which is a polite way of saying colored person. If you were an Afro-Peruvian once told, again, I told I was negro. I identified as negro. She says, "Do you know what is negro? Do what is moreno? You're not black. You're colored." Basically, that's what she was saying.
So hold on, Bill. So you're saying moreno is the insult, really? Because I don't like the word.
No. Moreno is a polite way of. Remember, I don't know. Your mother can identify with this, but there were a time to call us black were fighting words. Call us black and African. Those were we said no. We're colored. We're Negro. We're American. There was a time we called ourselves American Negroes or colored. If you called me black, I would want to fight you. Mm-hmm. And vice versa. Ask your mother about it; she'll tell you. Okay. But in Latin America, moreno is a polite way of saying black, color or colored.
Yeah.
They don't say you're certain. More and more of them are embracing their Africanness. They have a term now, it's more popular in Latin America called Afrodescendientes, which means African descendants. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know this, but this is more recent.
Yes, sir.
This is more recent. So.
Okay. Yeah. So your favorite group is Grupo Nietzsche.
Grupo Nietzsche. The leader of Grupo Nietzsche is called. His name is Jairo Varela, and he's black and he's proud. And he calls him. He insists on being called negro.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And the favorite song is?
My favorite song by Grupo. Wow, I have a lot of favorite songs by Grupo Nietzsche.
What's the one you told us at the beginning?
Oh, by Ray Barretto, Guarade. Pastorita tiene guarade, which means, Pastora is the name of a woman who got the hots for me. That's the Cuban. That's the Cuban speak, because every Spanish-speaking country has their own slang.
Okay.
And so that's, yeah.
Okay, well, muy bien. Well, my son has re-entered the room, so that's another sign it's time to go.
Okay.
But this has been un placer. I really appreciate you, Bill, for taking out your time. And you provided such a wealth of knowledge and experience, and I just can't say thank you enough.
Well, I want you on my blog, so.
Okay. Well, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen.
Okay. Okay. Do I have your email address or something where I can get in touch with you?
Yes, sir. You do.
Okay, I'll keep that. So I'll get around to calling you.
All right.
And maybe interview you for my blog. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And go ahead.
And we can advertise your business.
Oh, that'll be real nice. Thank you. Gracias.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you go, but thank you so much and have a good day. All right.
All right. You too. You take care. Bye.
Yes,
Good
sir.
talking
Bye-bye.
to you as well.
Likewise. Thank you.